New York. To win acclaim in this fiercely competitive city is the seal of approval for most musicians, but few make it. One who has been accepted into the charmed circle at the top is the Canadian pianist Glenn Gould. When Gould is preparing for a recording session or concert in New York, he heads first for Steinway's on 57th Street. Down in the basement, a whole troupe of famous concert grands are kept ready for the great pianists of our time.
Well, that's all right, Morris. No, that's what he's here for. That's what he's here for.
Here, Gould hopes to find an instrument that will have exactly the tone and action he wants.
It's got a tremolo, lovely. We'll fix it, don't worry.
Let us push on.
Want that stool?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Gould, where's the stool? It's good. Plays though, just the same, the guy, you know?
Well, everybody has to have his own.
No.
Too much. Like Mozart or the piano? What?
Both.
Well,
Too heavy.
here's the one. Let's try this again.
No, I think this is it. I really think so.
Gould was born with a rare sensitivity to sound, and already at the age of 3 it was discovered that he had absolute pitch. When such gifts are matched with musical intelligence and a fortunate physical endowment, and capped with many years of hard labor, there may emerge a musician of some stature. And such rare persons enter a very special world, with its own peculiar problems, difficulties, rewards, and professional preoccupations.
What you really need is me out at Flushing as an idea man. I mean, after all, the piano went out of fashion as a family convenience at the turn of the century. What you've got to think of now is a mid-20th century piano, something with all these extras that you've just described.
Garbage disposal.
Well, actually, what I would like is a piano with a small, say, 25 horsepower engine underneath it that it could move itself about, you know.
Well, that's an excellent idea. We just say, go to Carnegie Hall.
Right.
We'll eliminate all this trucking monkey business.
Open the door.
Cut cottage costs down to at least $5 a throw.
Tell me something. You have upstairs the old Hoffman chair, which I've seen.
It's out in the factory now.
Well,
yeah.
whatever it is, which looks completely formidable to me. I don't know how anybody could sit on it. But apart from Hoffman and me,
Yes.
Who else has had a special chair? Anybody?
Paderewski.
Adjustable or just...
No, it was a special chair. It had a leather seat and it had a high back, a support. And as a matter of fact, it has fringe with little balls and little tassels around it. And both the Paderewski chair and the Hoffman chair are out in the factory in our testing room, wareroom.
And how much am I bid for this?
Well, Glenn, I'll tell you, I think seriously that this chair should be willed to Steinway and Sons.
I tell you, this would be a
Don't speak
Morris
of wills.
chair.
That's quite
Well, I didn't mean that. I meant that you should will it to us, not in your will and your last will and testament, but we'd be delighted to have it in our magnificent
This is going to be in the Morris Snapper collection of Steinwayana.
Memorabula of the greats.
This would be a Morris
The
chair.
seats of the immortals.
Is this a Morris chair?
We can do that. That would be marvelous. We'd get them all lined up and take a beautiful photograph sometime, and then we will have it entitled "The Seats of the Immortals."
Yes.
Glenn Gould, Joseph Hoffman, Ignaz Paderewski. I think that's terrific.
When Gould is not on tour or recording, he spends most of his time at his retreat, a cottage on the shore of Lake Simcoe, 90 miles north of Toronto. Here he works on the piano he favors above all others for practicing, a 70-year-old Chickering with a resonant, harpsichord-like quality, recalling the instruments of the time of Bach. In one respect, Gould's life is very simple. He lives alone for the most part, with his dog Banquo, in the country place where he spent all his holidays as a child. Mrs. Doolittle, the neighbor, cleans up and cooks for him sometimes. The Doolittles remember him as a rather solitary little boy, with strong opinions and a hatred of cruelty, who was happiest in the hours when he was free to practice the piano. Gould needs the undistracting tempo of rural life to concentrate completely on his one love. It is a single-minded absorption, so great that the local storekeeper likes to tell of finding crumpled banknotes dropped absent-mindedly and frozen in the snow. Automatically, he put them aside for Glenn. For dinner, Gould usually drives into Orillia, 5 miles away. The cafe proprietor, Gincito, is so proud of him that his Wurlitzer often plays Gould recordings of Bach and Koenig at full volume, to the astonishment of the tourists. Gould is not well known locally, and most people are unaware that a young man living down the road draws rave notices when he plays in San Francisco or London. Gould's life seems ideal. Peace, calm, time to study in idyllic surroundings. But his world is also an unnerving one. It takes courage of a high order to play Beethoven before the supercritical audience of Berlin, or to present oneself on the same platform as the great Russian pianists of today.
How do you feel about playing on the concert platform and playing in the recording studio?
I much prefer the recording, and I gather that this is not the standard reaction, because most people find the recording is very trying. They feel uneasy in the presence of something that is going to be permanent, and the microphone conveys this to them. But I feel quite the opposite. The microphone is a great friend because I was brought up with it. When I was in my teens and still at school, I didn't do any traveling at all. The only city in which I really played was Toronto, and perhaps once or twice a year there. And so that if I did any performing at all, it had to be on the radio, or from 1952 on television, when we had it in Canada. And I became so used to these media, to being alone in the studio, that nothing else mattered. In fact, I've often wondered if the justifiable complaints that I sometimes hear about my platform manner isn't a result of the fact that for many years, formative years, I could be completely uninhibited. And it didn't matter what I did, as long as the music got across. This was the only thing that counted for me. Because I had no yardstick of measuring. I seldom went to concerts even then. I never do now. And I had no yardstick really of measuring what other people did. And what I did at that time was done in order to make myself at ease and to get something out of myself which otherwise might have remained in and had to come out on the microphone to get across. And I often wondered if this didn't go back to those days.
Why don't you like going to concerts?
Well, first of all, I think I'm at all times slightly uncomfortable in great crowds of people. I always have been. Tend to become slightly claustrophobic in a large hall. I don't feel at all that way on the stage because there's plenty of room to breathe, but I tend to be that way when I participate in an audience. Less so in a cinema, because there everything is in the dark and it's a sort of secretive feeling. The relationship of one person to another in a spectacle doesn't really exist. You are all sort of pretending that you're by yourself. I always have this feeling in a cinema, so I enjoy going to movies. I also enjoy going to the theater for much the same reasons. But to concerts, for the dual reason that the hall is generally brighter, and also for the much more important reason that I know too much about what goes on in a person's mind who is actually having to do this. And I feel exceedingly nervous at somebody else's concert. Much more nervous than I've ever been at any of my own. It can be the most capable person in the world, and I'm still almost panic-stricken.
How do you like all this traveling you have to do?
When I'm up here and sitting in the country for anything over 10 days or 2 weeks and dealing with people whose relationship to their work is a somewhat more indifferent one in one case, and on the other hand, more regular one in the other, that they know from 1 week to the next what they will be doing, where they will be. It will be the same place. It will be a schedule which is almost unvariable. When I'm with people like this, I find myself envying them very much. And in fact, at such times, I wonder how it is possible that the following week I will be back into a schedule which seems at that moment almost intolerable to me. I wonder how I do it. When you get to that point, when you leave here, I can only say that I feel something like I did as a child when it was Labor Day and the next day meant going back to school. It was a completely horrible feeling. It was a feeling of being trapped as much as one would be if one were suddenly consigned to the netherworld, you know, irrevocably. It was a dreadful feeling. For many years I had a recurring dream, which I think has stopped now, but it came during my school years and shortly after. And this dream always involved variations on the same theme, which was a return to school. And school in this case obviously meant much more than that. It meant a return to a schedule which I couldn't completely control. And it was a dreadful kind of thing. I remember one very colorful variation on it, which I think I must have dreamt when I was perhaps 15 or 16. And I dreamt that I got up one morning up here at the lake and looked out my window, and instead of seeing grass, I saw rock, as one would see 100 miles to the north of here. Just endless rock, a little bit curved, a little bit heaving, but rock. And on this rock there were nothing but dead leaves of some kind. And that was all there was to the dream. And then I, shortly after that, woke up with that feeling that one can never describe, so absolutely sad beyond all description. It was something which I shall never forget. And I had many variations on this same image at that time. And to this day, this is approximately the way I feel when I have to return to a life which I don't really enjoy. Now then, when one gets into it, another kind of thing takes hold. If it didn't, I think it would become so unbearable that one simply could not continue. At least I couldn't. But if you are playing a concert every second or third night for a month, this seems in a way a reasonably normal way to live at the time. It's only when one gets away from it that one realizes what a crazy artificial existence it is.
When musicians get together these days, the shop talk often leads to argument. Gould is a distinguished exponent of the works of the modern atonal composers, but unlike Franz Kraemer, he has some reservations about the musical direction begun by such revolutionary composers as Webern.
Well, you know that I was, studying with Weber one season in a class with other people, and he was a very shy person, as his music is, rather shy.
Is this shy music?
Well, I still call it rather.
Well, it's
small, reticent,
yeah.
And he was very, very reticent, and there's no doubt about that.
This is shy music. If you kidnapped a child today, let's say 18 months old child, and
what a gruesome
well, not in a gruesome way, and took it to a mountain retreat where no music could be brought to it except the music that you would play to it and leave in its presence, and this child would be brought up knowing nothing but pure 12-tone music in the sense of Schoenberg and Webern, discriminately in the sense of their adherence today, but very carefully selected. Pure 12-tone music. Do you think that by the time this child was, say, 6 or 7, when a child's folk song image is at its strongest, and the period is going on, do you think that they would then be singing
No, I don't think they would.
You think that the interest in music would be stifled completely? Or
no, I don't think so either. I think they would probably by that time have developed their own way of thinking about melodies, and they would have melodies.
Or they just be sticking out their tongues at their kidnappers.
Well, that too. What I wanted to ask you is that you, after all, have done some composing. Nowhere in that composing have you tried to develop any new sounds or anything like that?
Well, this is why I speak A, pessimistically, and B, with some sense of trying to find out if everybody agrees with the fashionable majority who believe that the role of tonality is gone forever from us, because in my own music I write in a style that could have conceivably been handled by any composer of 70 years ago, or certainly 50 years ago. And it's not a question of just doing it courageously and unashamedly. I do it because I can feel for myself no other way in which I want to write. I don't feel particularly happy about this, because I wonder if there is any particular justification for doing it. On the other hand, I can't see any particular reason why one shouldn't say something that has been said before, speaking idiomatically only, because one, after all, doesn't
there's nothing wrong with that.
Really.
There's nothing wrong with that. The question is only that it's a little surprising to me that you, while you're doing it, and you're perfectly all right doing it, and it's a good discipline, but it's a bit like being in school and being told to modulate like Schumann for 4 weeks, and then like Brahms for 4 weeks, and then maybe like Wagner for 4 weeks. But there must be somewhere you want to go if you are
That's the
serious
point. I
about
don't know.
composing.
That's the point. I really don't know. For that reason, every individual work is a great effort because I have to convince myself that while I'm doing it, there is no place I want to go, that I'm quite content with this. And I'm not really. And so it leaves the question completely open and unhappy and unsatisfied.
Well, you have a great future before you.
In 1959, Gould celebrated his 27th birthday. His ambition is to make enough money by the time he is 35 to retire from the concert stage and devote himself to composing. Meanwhile, he's considered one of the world's greatest exponents of Bach.
sounds good. Well, how about trying the other one there? This one here. Can I take the stool with you?
Yeah, let me see what this one's like.
Oh, it does.
Well, this is one that you played in the Philharmonic this past season, and it's, of course, it's familiar to you.
But this is for Beethoven, isn't it? Heavy.
No. Well, this is for Bob, isn't that correct? You're going to record Bob?
Yes.
This selection of it.
Yes.
Well, here's one that you had something over quite a while.
Gould's struggle for perfection extends to the choice of instruments he plays. Only when he has found the one that is right for him can he face a concert or recording.
Well, I'm going to look at it, man.
Like
To be interested.
No, I'm going to stick with this one, Fritz. I think
Well, all right.
this is much the best of what I've seen.
Try this one. You had that one once before, but I guess.
Yeah, but not for Bach, of course.
Okay.
This really needs that kind of agility that this has
After
got,
all, you're the artist. You're playing, you know.
Oh, yeah, this is a wonderfully clean kind of sound. Clean. I like this one.
Well, the cleanness and the incisiveness, I think, would be very important for you, Glenn, in this particular case.
Yeah.
Fine,
This is
fine. Good.
Can I stay and practice a bit?
Oh, surely,
Sure.
surely. Now, you can have the whole afternoon
Oh,
here, Glenn,
wonderful.
if you want to.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And if there's anything on your mind, please call me
Yeah,
upstairs.
I'll be
in my
up to see you
office.
later.
All right,
All right,
thanks
I'll be
very
around
much.
here
All right.
waiting.
Goodbye, Mr.
Bye.
Snoffles.
Goodbye, Mr. Gould.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't.
Bye.
Bye.